The iPod is one of the most important devices of the first decade of the 2000s. It didn't last much, as it essentially was replaced by the iPhone and smartphones in general in 2007, even though it kept selling for a while. But over the course of its relatively short life, it got tons of revisions. From one model in 2001, an entire lineup was born, with all kinds of declinations of the original idea. And as Apple evolved its branding and design language, so did the iPod, which got numerous facelifts. Just by looking at the various models they released of this single product line, you could get a pretty good idea of how the rest of Apple's hardware would look like. Notoriously, in the case of the iMac G5, its design was influenced from the iPod, not the other way around. But there's one aesthetic that never came to the iPod, which is also one of the most iconic and distinct Apple has ever had. I'm talking about the one that was used for the first iMac and the iBook. It doesn't really have an official name, or at least I couldn't find it, so I'll just call it the Aqua aesthetic, borrowing that name from the OS X design language. Yeah, the first iPod looked like this. It completely skipped this incredibly iconic era of Apple design, so I wondered, what if that didn't happen? How would an iPod following the Aqua design language look like? As always, I made a concept. For the front panel, I tried to mimic the effect that was used for the iMac. I don't know why it needs to have all those lines exactly, but they are a very iconic aspect of that design. Now, as you can see, the click wheel has an accent color, which is the same you'd see on the back. This wasn't a random idea, it's actually derived from the trackpad on the iBook. In that case, the button and the border were colored, leaving the trackpad itself white like the rest of the computer. I don't think they designed it like this just to make it look more colorful, but also to bring more attention to it. This idea also works in my concept. I tried to also make the center button colored, but it didn't look good, so I opted for the solution you are seeing now. But the real protagonist here is the back. Exactly like on the first iMac, there's some transparency. It's not extreme like the Nothing Phone 1, for example, where you can see everything. In this case, it's way more opaque, but it's still there. I obviously use the old Apple font, which, to be honest, looks a lot less out of place here than on the real iPod, which for some reason we may never understand also use this font, but only the first revision, and exactly like every other device they made during that period, colors. 5 to be exact. They are, as you can guess, the ones from the original iMac, even though the real Apple probably would have chosen completely different ones, as they always do. And now look at the ports. Anyway, if you like this completely meaningless style exercise, I have many more on this channel, like this one. Check it out if you want. Ciao!